Hello to all my dear students. I am Dr. Soumya Das from NIT Greater Noida. So, today we are studying about the lecture 3 of unit 2 subject human anatomy and physiology. The topic of today's lecture is structure, types, or we can say the different classification and functions of bone. Okay. So, starting with today's lecture. First, before going in deep about the bones or the skeletal system, we have to know about the different types of bone cells. So, there are basically 3 different types of, or we can say specialized cells of present inside the human bones. Their name are according to their functions, like for example, first one is the osteoblast, second is osteocytes. I will explain you what is this word mean, and the third one is the osteoclast. So, students, osteoblast, osteo means bones, osteons, okay, bony structures. Blast means, students, formation. So, the cells required for the formation of a specific maybe small or long bone is termed as osteoblast cells. Okay. After this osteoblast, we are having osteocytes, same. Osteo means bones, cytes means, students, cells. So, the cells which is required for the further functioning or their mineralization of these bone like bone cells is the osteocytes, and the third one is the osteoclast cells, students. Osteo means bone, we already know. Clast, you will remember by the prefix C, clast means cleavage. The cells required for the breakdown of these bone cells is the osteoclast cells. Okay. So, basically these 3 specialized bone cells are present inside the bone. These cells are responsible for bone growth as well as mineral homeostasis. So, I hope you all know the definition of homeostasis. We already learned in our first lecture of unit 1. So, again I am revising you. The term homeostasis is the internal structure of human body. How? Why? What happened when the external environment changes, like for example, in winters or in pandemic condition also, the viral load is high in the environment, and in weather change, when the weather changes in cold, the internal body, our environment, how it adapt ourselves to fight from the change in the environment. Okay. So, this is the internal environment, or we can say the homeostasis of our human system, human body. So, coming to these different osteoblast, osteocytes and osteoclastic cells. First, the osteoblast cells, what does it do? It makes new bone cells. Okay. Blast means formation. So, osteoblastic cells are involved in regular formation of new bone cells, and they can secrete collagen protein. Okay. This collagen protein is required for spongy as well as compact bone, long or we can say the short bone. Each and every type of bone is composed of the collagenous protein. Okay. So, collagen is very much important, or we can say required. So, osteoblast cells, they can secrete collagen that mineralize to become bone matrix. Bone matrix is nothing but it is, we can say, the external whole body of the bone. Bone matrix is also sometimes you will see in your textbooks, it is written as EC, extracellular matrix, ECM. Okay. So, do not get confused there also. The ECM is nothing but the same, the bone matrix, which is composed of several layers of collagen fibers. Okay. So, these are responsible for bone growth basically, and for the uptake of minerals from the blood circulation, or we can say systemic circulation. Coming to the second specialized cells of bone, osteocyte cells. Osteocytes, again the word means osteo means bone, cyte means cells. Osteocyte cells regulate mineral homeostasis. means it maintains the level of different minerals, basically the calcium and phosphorus from the blood circulation, and they also direct the uptake of minerals from the blood and release of these minerals back to the blood, or we can say systemic circulation, when the systemic circulation are in lack of it. Okay. When the blood circulation say give me some molecules of phosphorus and calcium, the osteocyte cells will do this phenomena. They can release these minerals to the blood circulation. Next is the osteoclast cells. These type of cells are required for the cleavage or the termination of new further bone formation. Okay. Like for example, you will listen about the sinus problem. What happened in that case? Sinus is a disorder of elongation of nose bone. Okay. So, sinus like problems, breathing problems arises at that condition. Migraine, headache also start with this problem. So, at that time osteoclastic cells start their function. What does they do? They dissolve the presence of these minerals in the bone ECM, extracellular matrix, and release them back to the systemic, or we can say blood circulation. Under this direction of osteoclastic cells, the osteoblast cells continuously build up the bone, while the osteoclastic cells continuously break it down when it is required or necessary. Okay. So, see the diagram students. The A part you will see here is the mesenchymal stem cells. So, what is stem cell? Anyone can tell me? Stem cell is a specialized cell and it is having a specific feature or characteristic to make a different or any specialized type of cells. So, this is the stem cell role. Here the mesenchymal stem cell further forming the pre-osteoblast cells. Pre means primitive, just before the formation of osteoblastic. Complete mature osteoblastic cells just before step is pre-osteoblast formation. This pre-osteoblast next forming the osteoblastic cells, and the osteoblastic cells is the bone forming osteon forming cells now make osteocytes. Okay. See the B part. Here the first step is hemopoietic stem cell. Hemopoietic means students the stem cells containing or required for the formation of heme or RBCs, blood cells basically, you can say RBC, WBCs, platelets. Okay. Hemopoietic stem cells make monocytes when it is immature, termed as monocytes. When these monocytes, this is nothing but the components of blood. Okay. Monocytes when get matured, the name is macrophages, and I hope you already know about the functions of these monocytes and macrophages. These macrophages are very much required in our blood circulation for the engulfing, okay, just eating of not required, or we can say dead cells, or sometimes some toxins or poisonous or allergens which make us ill or reach us for the disease condition. So, for maintaining our healthy immunity, we mostly require these monocytes and macrophages. After this macrophages, when it is formed by the hemopoietic stem cells, these macrophages now forming the pre-osteoclastic cells. Okay. Osteoclastic means bone cleavage cells, and this pre-osteoclastic cells now finally form the osteoclast cells. Coming to the second part, after different types of bone, the bone marrow. What is the use and need of this bone marrow? So, bone marrow is found in almost all the type of bone which is cancellous in nature. So, what does this word mean? Cancellous means the mainly it covers the spongy bone, the center part of the compact bone, spongy bone. So, the marrow, the bone marrow is responsible for making around 2 millions, remember 2 millions of RBC, red blood cells every seconds. So, it is very much important, the healthy bone marrow is very much important for our healthy homeostasis. Okay. It also produces, apart from RBC students, it also produces lymphocytes. So, cytes means cells, lympho means lymphatic tissues. Just we have already talked about why the lymph is also required for maintaining our immunity, okay, to fight from the external foreign particles from any further infections. So, the bone marrows RBC produce करता है, lymphocytes form करता है and also WBCs, white blood cells, which is involved in maintaining our immune system. Now, coming to the ECM, extracellular matrix, or we can say the matrix of the bone. The bones are essentially a living cell. Okay. It is considered to be living because it grows, it shortens. Okay. So, a part in aging. So, it is considered to be living, and these bones are embedded, packed in a mineral based organic matrix, which is known as extracellular matrix. This matrix is composed of, or we can say made up of, organic and inorganic components. The organic component is basically the full, or we can say type 1 collagen. Just we have talked about the collagen protein, and this collagen protein is considered as organic component for the formation of extracellular matrix for the manufacturing, or we can say synthesis of new bone. Apart from organic component, the second is the inorganic component. It includes hydroxypeptide. Okay. Hydroxypeptide is also a proteinaceous in nature, and apart from this, some salts like calcium and phosphates, phosphorus are required for the mineralization of the bone and considered as inorganic components for the formation of ECM, extracellular matrix. The collagen, huge amount of type 1 collagen gives bone for its tensile strength. Okay. So, this collagen namely required for the maintenance of resistance to being pulled out during any stretching, when our hand or the skeletal muscles which covers the bony tissues or bone part, when it stretches, the role of collagen is seen here. It maintains the strength or elasticity plus the resistance to being pulled out, okay, and this is occurring because of the presence of type 1 collagen protein. Hydroxypeptide gives the bone compressive strength. Okay. Compressive means elastic in nature, compression, compressive strength or resistance to being compressed, right. So, this is the role of these two important proteins which is present inside the ECM. Now, coming to the structure of bone, here I will describing you a femur. This is a femur. So, I hope you know or heard about the femur. It is the largest and the strongest bone of our body. Okay. So, how many bones are there in our body? We will discuss in our next lectures. So, there is 206 complete bones which is divided into axial and appendicular part. Okay. We have 206 bones in our body. So, this is a femur, the longest and the strongest bone, or considered named as thigh bone in human body. So, see the structures, students. Above this you will see the epiphyseal plates. These two are epiphyseal plates, and beneath this it is the epiphysis. The above epiphysis is termed as proximal epiphysis, and the below is the distal epiphysis. In between the proximal and distal epiphysis, we are having the shaft, or which is termed as the body of the bone, and this is diaphysis. Okay. So, after epiphyseal plate, articular cartilage is there, and inside this articular cartilage we are having in the center spongy bone. Okay. After spongy bone you will see a straight structure which is space which is required for the formation of RBC cells, or we can say the bone marrow, the bone marrow. Okay. In the diaphysis, or we can say the shaft of the bone, we are having endosteum, compact bone. The spongy bone is covered with a compact bone. Red and blue structure, we are having medullary cavity, which is required for the blood supply. Why blood is required in this bone part? Because we are just now talking about the bone is also considered to be a living part of our body. So, because of its living nature, they also need oxygen and nutrients for their growth, for their survival. So, this medullary cavity students provide them nutrients and proper oxygen for their development. And after medullary cavity, we are having yellow marrow. You already heard about the bone marrow. What is the role of yellow marrow here? The yellow bone marrow, the red bone marrow makes the RBCs. Just in previous slides we had studied, and the yellow bone marrow, the function is to store the fat or the fatty acids for their further use. Where it will store the fats? In the adipocytes. Okay. So, after yellow marrow, we are having periosteum cavity. Periosteum is required for the attachment. It is the outermost layer, and it is required for the attachment of several tendons and ligaments. So, what is the difference between tendons and ligaments? Tendon is a bony structure which joins the bone to the muscular layer, skeletal muscles, while the ligament is a part of a bone which is required for the joining of two bony structures. Okay. So, starting with the different parts of the structure of bone at microscopical level. If you are talking about the microscopical level, the structure of bone consists of following different parts, just we have studied discussed right now. The first one is the diaphysis. The diaphysis is a completely hollowed structure, tubular in nature, or we can say tubular shaft that runs between the proximal, that is the above, and distal below end of a long or short bone. Inside this proximal and distal diaphysis, we are having medullary cavity, and this is completely filled with the yellow bone marrow in a adult. The outer wall of the diaphysis is composed of dense and hard compact bone, which makes the bone resistance to break or to elastic, easily break down in friction. It forms a osseous means bony tissues. After this diaphysis, we are having another structure in a bone which is epiphysis. It is wider section at each end of the bone. Okay? It is epiphysis, and this epiphysis is filled internally with a spongy bone, or we can say the hollow material, sponges in nature, spongy bone. Red bone marrow fills the space between the spongy bone in some of the long bones, like also in case of femur. Metaphysis. Each epiphysis meets the diaphysis at the end, which is known as the metaphysis. After metaphysis, we are having epiphyseal plate. During growth, students, basically just at the teenagers at the age of 18 to 21 years, when the children will high rate of growth, this metaphysis contains the epiphyseal plate. When the bone stops growing just after 21 to 23 years of age, this epiphyseal plate becomes a epiphyseal line, means it stops the further growth of the bone. So, endosteum, it is the lining of the inside of a bone which is adjacent to the medullary cavity. And what is medullary cavity? Just right we are talking about, it is a layer of a bony cells which is present inside the endosteum. Endo means inside, osteum means bony tissues, cells, layers. Okay. So, after the endosteum, we are having periosteum. Peri means periphery, outer side. So, on the outer side of the bone, there is the second, or we can say the another layer of the cells that grow or repair and also required for the remodeling of bones. Okay. So, these periosteum cells are a part of the outer double layered structure. So, as its name depicts, peri means around, ostium means bone or the surrounding. Okay. So, this is the outermost or the peripheral layer of covering the endosteum. This periosteum also contains the blood vessels, nerves and lymphatic vessels, which is required for the further nourishment of a compact bone. Several tendons and ligaments are also present inside this, and this is required for the attachment of the bones with the periosteum. A thin layer of hyaline cartilage is there, and this hyaline cartilage reduces the frictional force, okay, the friction, and here it is also acting as a shock absorber. Now, coming to the types of bone, we are discussed about the two types basically, the spongy bone and the compact bone. So, see the diagram students first. This is the spongy bone or also known as cancellous bone. You are having first the microscopic structure which is composed of osteons of compact bones. Okay. Beneath this there is trabeculae of spongy bone inside, we can say in the mid center part, and the vertical lines is the Haversian canals, which is required, or it contains the blood supply required for the oxygen and nutrient supply for these smallest osteon subunits. This Haversian canal is joined by a Waxman canal. After this we are having the outermost structure which is named as periosteum, and this is the osteon students. One enlarged picture of osteon which is composed of canaliculi, and beneath this canaliculi, the outer bonding, we are having lamellae, okay, and lacunae containing the osteocytes. So, spongy bone, it is also known as cancellous or trabecular bone. It is found basically in the long bones and it surrounds the compact bone. Okay. The spongy tissue or the bone is found in the center and covered with a compact bone. The term spongy comes from the fact that it is highly porous, we can say, or vascularized in nature. Trabeculae are the spaces which is created in the tissue by thin areas of osteoblastic cells. Osteoblastic cells mean bone forming cells. As a result, these trabecular bones has about 10 times the surface area of the compact bone. It also makes up the 20%, the complete human skeletal cast, 20% is composed of spongy bone. And we can say the spongy bone is also considered to be as a home or the place where the bone marrow and the hemopoietic stem cells differentiate into different type of blood cells, like for example RBCs, WBCs and platelets. Now, coming to the compact bone, after the spongy bone, the compact bone are also known as the cortical bone and it surrounds the spongy bone. It make up the 80% of the human skeletal system. It is smooth in nature, as the name depicts, compact. So, it is very much hard and heavy compared to the spongy bone. It is white in color, while the spongy bone, you have seen just the picture in the previous slide, which is pink in color. The compact bone is made up of several units which is named as laminae, and there are so many sheets of collagen protein, collagenous sheet, which is aligned in a parallel fashion. We can say parallelly they are aligned, and this gives collagen sheath a bone strength, okay, to make it more rigid and compact. The blood vessel supply in the compact bone, which is required for the proper oxygen and nutrient supply, is done through Haversian canal, okay, or sometime also through the osteons. Now, coming to the specialized, or we can say the main functions of the skeletal system or the basic unit of skeletal system, we are talking right now about the bones. So, bones serves very vital means important functions. First one, to provide mechanical strength. What does it mean? Bones provide a frame, a complete dhacha, we can say, a framework to support the body. The skeletal muscles, tendons and ligaments, these all parts are attached to the bones, and without anchoring to this bone, muscles couldn't move the body. Like when we are changing our posture, moving, jumping, walking, swimming, running, we need these mechanical strength of bones. So, it is very much important for our physiological changes working. Some bones protect the body's internal organs. For example, the skull. What does it do? Skull protects the CNS, brain part of our body, and the ribs protect the very important organs, that is heart and lungs. Okay. After mechanical protection, it will also functioning as synthesis of so many important, some of the neurotransmitters, some of the growth hormones. Okay. So, the compact bone, or we can say the cancellous bone, produces RBCs, platelets and WBCs. These are also providing defective mechanism. Okay. They defect or prevent our body to get susceptible towards any infection. The red blood cells are destroyed in the bone marrow. Okay. Now, the third important function of the bone is the metabolic function. So, in storing minerals, bone act as a reservoir हम कह सकते हैं, source for the synthesis as well as storage of very important minerals, particularly the calcium and the phosphorus. They also store some of the growth factors, like for example, insulin like growth factor, okay, ILGF, you can remember, like insulin like growth factor. So, insulin is very much important to maintain the blood sugar level, है ना. So, it is synthesized from the beta cells of islets of pancreas basically. So, these insulin like growth factors, the level is maintained by the what? These compact bones. After this storing minerals, the fat storage function of bones, fatty acids can be stored in the bone marrow, basically where? In the adipocytes. pH balance. Bone can release or absorb alkaline salts. So, these alkaline salts help the blood to stay at the right pH level. So, the systemic circulation, the blood is maintaining their pH because of these bones only. It also helps in detoxification of our systemic blood circulation. Bones can absorb the heavy metals or sometimes the toxins from various infections from the blood and make it purify the systemic circulation. It also play an important role in the endocrine functioning. Bones releases several hormones that acts on the kidney, and this helps in the blood sugar regulation and maintenance, as well as in the fat deposition in the adipose tissues. Okay. And the last is the calcium balance. Bone can raise sometimes, also reduces the influx and efflux, the optimum concentration of calcium in the blood circulation by forming new bones with the help of osteoblastic cells, or by cleaving the old sometimes or the ruptured bones by the help of osteoclastic cells, breaking it down in a process which is known as bone resorption. And this is all about today's lecture. See you in next lecture. Till then, study well, take care, bye bye.